Hey everybody, I'm Charting Man Dan with the Chart Guys. I've been trading cannabis stocks for 13 years and 3 months at this point. I am getting over a cold at the moment, and of course, right when I committed to the live stream, I got a massive wave of vertigo, but we're going to try and power through here. And just imagine that time when you first combined alcohol and cannabis to excess, that spinning, that just happened to me. So hopefully it's gone, but I may have to stop. We'll see. So we're going to check in on the cannabis sector right now, day of profit taking on the gap up this morning, and going to talk a little bit about how I've been trading today, going to talk about the shorter term time frames and what we're expecting as the most likely scenarios and things that we're watching into the end of the week. So first things first, I'm going to describe a bit about what I did today. And, I was very actively trading today, and I'm going to make it sound easy. And that's just because to me, it's not easy, but it's second nature. I've been doing this so long that when I'm able to talk about this stuff to someone, it sounds very easy. You should not be doing what I do unless you've been putting in your 10,000 hours and you've been doing this for years full time. So while I describe what I did today, just keep that in mind. Do not put that expectation on yourself. It's not realistic. You have to put in the time and the effort to build the skill set to be able to do this. So what I did today is I sold some MSOS on the gap up open on the initial move. I then rebought as soon as I saw the bid and the ask shift, because on the 1 minute time frame for MSOS, you can see that we dumped really hard for 1 minute. And then as soon as the bounce started, I market buy. And so I'm going to be posting some of my screenshots here. So I market buy, I get filled at 8.59. So 4 pennies off the low of the day. It was literally just straight down, and the first sign of momentum shifting. All right, I'm buying. Because my mindset is, if that's the low of the day and if bulls are going to buy this dip and see continued strength, then they're going to hold that level. I then sell partial position into that initial bounce, 872. Let's say I sell half. So I'm in at 860. I sell half at 872. What's my break even now? 848. I stick my stop under the low of the day. I cannot lose on that position that I've now re-added back. So that was my initial move. I also took profit on GTBIF. I was selling GTBIF because for me, that's a shorter term position. I bought GTBIF Friday afternoon because I really liked the setup, posted about it in our chat room. And so this morning I'm selling, I sold 2 positions, one of them being 1328. And it's really important to separate short-term mindset positions in one account, longer-term mindset positions in another account. If you try and do the same, if you try and do both in the same account, you will trip yourself up. And so for me, GTBIF was in my day trading account, buying on Friday, planning on selling the gap up open, which I did, but my MSOS is a longer-term mindset position. I will have a core of MSOS that I will hold until we get a DEA decision, at the least. So I then see things happen later in the morning. MSOS had a very clear playoff of resistance for bears. The size of this 5-minute consolidation tells us that the most likely scenario is a lower high compared to the high of the day. And so my mindset is I can either sell some of my core MSOS position, but I don't want to do that. I'm not going to sell my core based on the 5-minute time frame. My core position cares about the daily chart and the longer term time frames. So I leave that alone, but in my day trade account, I short MSOS just under $9, and my stop goes over the high of the day. So I sell short at 897. I cover half really quickly at 893. My break even is now 901. I stick my stop at 906. And now I'm still in some of that position. This is a hedge. So a lot of bulls don't really like thinking about hedges, but it's a great way to protect. So at 1021, protected bulls, hedging, or aggressive bears are top fishing MSOS versus the high of the day. So that is one thing that I did. At that point in time, now that I have that trade, I have a long with a risk-free stop under the low of the day, and I have a short with a tiny risk stop above the high of the day. Now I just sit back and let it play out. I'm going to stop out on one of those, and then the other one's going to be notably profitable. And so from there, we had a 5-minute equilibrium, just a tightening range, break bear. Right here is the first time the bears proved something to us. We lost the 5-minute higher low at 883, and from that point forward, the bears have controlled the day. And we now have the hourly consolidation as we're filling some of that gap from the gap up open. If we keep dropping, the gap will fill at 822. The broader market is a factor as well. Right now, the S&P 500 is down 0.5%. It's definitely worth paying attention to. But we got a clear 5-minute downtrend. The most likely scenario here is an hourly higher low. Because for MSOS, anything above 763 is an hourly higher low. We have tons of space for it. The first indication that an hourly higher low is being set will be when the bulls regain a 5-minute uptrend. I expect the bulls, unless the broader market dumps all day, I expect the bulls to set an hourly higher low at some point this afternoon. So I stopped out of my long, break even, and now I'm exiting my short. I just took a little bit more of my short off the table right before this live stream, knowing I'd be a little bit distracted, and I will exit the rest of that short when I get signs that an hourly higher low is shaping up. I may rebuy some of my GTBIF for the same thing. I'm looking for an hourly higher low. It's the most likely scenario. So I can rebuy some GTBIF cheaper, but again, I need some indication that the hourly higher low is shaping up. Right now, this is getting a little bit falling wedgy. What's a falling wedge? A falling wedge is when you break support and we lack follow through. So we had the low of the day at 845. We break it. We only drop a penny into a bounce. Then we hit a new low of the day, buy a penny into a bounce. This is showing us the bears are getting a little bit exhausted. The bears still have full control with the 5-minute lower highs, but if I'm an aggressive bull, or if I want to be protective of my bear profits, I'm keeping an eye out for the bulls to attempt to start and try and shift things back in their favor to try and set an hourly higher low. So for the next hour, once I'm done this live stream, that's what I'm watching for. Can the bulls prove to me that the hourly higher low is shaping up? Again, to go back to separating our accounts, short-term mindset, long-term mindset, time frames. If you're in swing positions, the shortest term time frame that you care about is the hourly. 5-minute doesn't mean anything to you if you care about swing trading and the daily and the weekly chart and the longer term, bigger picture. So again, just be aware that the shorter term moves that I'm doing are because I'm a full-time day trader. And so I'm just taking advantage of significant volatility. You know, we got a 5% bull move off the low of the day, and now we got a 5% bear move from the high of the day. That's opportunity that professional traders are going to look to take advantage of. But if this is going to be a falling wedge, it will look like this, and it will break bull. And if it does break bull, we then zoom out. Again, the 5-minute time frame will then have to confirm the 5-minute uptrend from there. So one of the ways that I've been, this is, showing what I'm doing here is one of the ways that I've been outperforming MSOS. So just showing I have an account in my stockbroker that is only for long MSOS. And so just showing how I've been able to outperform, you look at the daily chart for MSOS and we know what it looks like, right? We had the HHS spike. We gave it all back, 100% retracement. And then we tightened up and now we're approaching the HHS high, but pulling back today. And so I've only made one major trade in this account. And this is what the account looks like. And you can see it's similar. There's my HHS spike. What's the major difference? I took half of my position off into Euphoria and I reloaded the drop. So you can see the retracement on my account. I only gave back like half of it as opposed to all of it. And now this is before today's trading. So it's going to be a bit higher here, but the account is up at the highs while MSOS is not. So again, just want to show you that only took one trade. I scaled in and I scaled out a little bit. So it wasn't just one order, but there are ways that you can be day trading and there are ways that you can be looking at the bigger picture macro aspect and still, again, just one trade, one repositioning, sell into Euphoria, rebuy into some fear, and that allows for some outperforming. So again, all of this is just to say it's possible to outperform, but you have to put in the time and the effort. I'm going to get into the charts here in just a moment, but again, this is what people strive to learn with technical analysis is to be able to do these things. You just have to realize that you must be committing a bare minimum of hundreds of hours. And so, that's the purpose of our chat room and the purpose of our live streams and things like that, is to try and help people understand our mindset as to what we're doing in certain situations. And so on a second gap up open, after Canada trades yesterday, after euphoria all weekend, the number one reason that I'm able to trade well is I don't care about leaving money on the table. What if I sell GTBIF and it runs 5% higher after I sell? Do I lose anything? No. I leave money on the table. I don't lose a dollar. I've given back enough profits enough times in my career that I have no fear of selling too early. And that has served me extremely well in my trading career in all of these euphoria markets, because I've sold early every single time. Every crypto run, every cannabis run, I sell too early, but then the top is hit and I'm not a bag holder. So just want to give some insight into my mindset when I'm analyzing things and telling you what I'm doing. It's very different than what many of you are doing. And that's perfectly fine. We play the game differently. My mindset for my long-term position, as I mentioned, is I'm holding this until we're 988 plus, until we get positive, ideally positive, results from the DEA for rescheduling. And that's a mindset where I'm going to be holding a core MSOS position, ideally for months, into, 10, 12 plus. All-time highs, are we headed to all-time highs? I don't think it's happening anytime soon. It'd be nice. I know people, I see people calling on social media for MSOS $100. And it's just like, do you know how much overhead supply there is here? Canada was completely different. Canada was blue sky breakout. There was no resistance. It was only hype and euphoria. And this is very different. Just keep that in mind. So I'm going to be the person that is saying, I'm going to be the devil's advocate when everybody's bullish. And we're not at that point just yet. But again, just want to give some insight into what you can expect from me in my analysis. So we'll check back in on MSOS to see if that hourly higher low is shaping up here in just a moment. But GTBIF, again, hourly higher low. TLRY and CGC. So the Canadian side is not participating. CGC, still a daily downtrend. 512 resistance, failed to break it. Again, bears just playing off 512. You're risking 2%. If you're top fishing that level, the bulls just are not showing us anything on the Canadian side right now. SNDL, not sure if I don't think it's Canadian, but again, not doing anything. This is clearly MSOS-driven hype in the short term. And so to me, that means just focus there. That's what I want to focus on, the stronger names. And so, if we get some kind of short squeeze news, then I watch TLRY and CGC, just like the HHS reaction. But in the absence of that, I'm only interested in MSOS and a handful of names. One more note, CMPS, not cannabis, but keep an eye on this one, just because if we get over this downtrend resistance, which has been resistance for 14 months, if we can hold these EMAs and break 1018, that will tell us a longer term momentum shift is taking place. Just wanted to make note of this because this is something I'm definitely keeping an eye on. Again, not cannabis related, but such a crystal clear downtrend resistance line that we will say things are shifting significantly once that is no longer resistance. But until that shifts, the bears still have control overall. So the better the cannabis sector does, the more it will help pull up the psychedelic space as well. So just keep that in mind. So big picture, what we need from MSOS from here is ideally just maintain the hourly uptrend. If we form an hourly higher low within the next hour and close, around 880, then it's fine in terms of bulls keeping their control. What the bulls do not want to see on the hourly is what we saw on the 5-minute, a big enough pullback to create space for the lower high. So on the hourly, is there enough space for a lower high? If we set an hourly higher low, fail 905, and confirm an hourly downtrend, that will tell us the top is in for now. And then we zoom out to the daily, and we will look for a daily higher low, and we'll look for hourly oversold conditions. So it's one time frame at a time. The 5-minute confirmed a bear break, we zoom out to the hourly. We scout an hourly high or low. If the hourly eventually confirms a downtrend, we zoom out to the daily. We call this the zoom out game for obvious reasons. We zoom out to the daily. We scout the daily high or low. That's going to go one of two ways. We set a healthy daily high or low into continuation, or it's big enough retracement to create the space for a lower high. Look up ChartGuys Fibonacci for how we use retracements to determine probabilities on these exact scenarios. But one time frame at a time, all I care about right now is the hourly and the 5-minute. And expecting an hourly high or low at some point before the end of the day here. And you can see this 2-minute on MSOS still building up the pressure a bit here. Expecting this one's going to break within the next 20 minutes or so. And we'll see which direction it breaks. A bull break would be the first baby step towards an hourly high or low trying to form. So when I'm making these videos and doing these live streams, I'm communicating to two different people. I'm communicating to ChartGuys members and full-time traders, people I've been trading cannabis stocks with for over 6 years since the Canadian run, and people who are, in it on the fundamentals, but want to have some idea what's going on with price action. So again, just be aware that those are two very different target markets, and I'm talking to different people when I'm doing these videos. So the full-time crowd, they care about the short-term time frames and things, but again, you don't want to be overwhelmed. If you're newer and you're only kind of paying attention, you want to learn a little bit, just have realistic expectations. You're not going to trade like me or like someone who's been doing it for years. If you're just now, and that's the other thing, I'm getting messages about people, I want to, get into the chat room and learn about things now. And my honest answer is the time to be preparing for this move and for this hype and euphoria is all this boring. You've got thousands of hours. You've got months to prepare. You don't want to be scrambling to prepare now just because there's some excitement. So again, just have realistic expectations with yourself. If you're trying to learn how to trade right now, it's not going to go well. The vast majority of people lose when they first start trading. And then they take those lessons from losing and they apply them the next time around. The amount of people that, made a bunch of money in crypto 2017 and then gave it all back and then smashed the 2021 opportunity, there's a significant amount. You've got to make all the mistakes. You have to learn from all your mistakes. So if you're just trying now, just anticipate you're going to make a ton of mistakes. All right, I got questions from some ChartGuys members that I want to get into, and then I'll see what we've got left for time and answer some of your questions and do some chart requests as well. But some of these questions are pretty good in terms of just bigger picture stuff, not specific charts. I will do some chart requests here in just a minute, but pulling up that list. All right, first question. Can I talk about how my prior MJ experience gives me an edge? I've seen it all. I've seen everything. I've seen gap and runs. I've seen gap up sell-offs. I've seen extreme euphoria that leads to tops. I've seen extreme despair that leads to bottoms. I've literally seen everything that the market can throw at you. How to not overtrade by zooming in too much. Literally, if you're swing trading, do not allow yourself to zoom in past a certain time frame. That's where discipline comes into play. You're not going to make money trading unless you have discipline. Show discipline to yourself. Prove to yourself that you have discipline by not going to the 5-minute time frame if you're swing trading. There's nothing for you on the 5-minute time frame if you care about the daily and the weekly charts the most. So really asking about my trade today, I entered MSOS to quickly sell some, put my stop under the low. We weren't 5-minute oversold on that buy. Did I have an initial stop level in mind? So if we had pivoted on that, again, that 1-minute flush, and as soon as the bounce started, if we hit a lower low from that point, I know that I'm wrong and I look to exit. So if 850 had broken from that point, I would have exited that bounce attempt. Strategies to add to your position: back burner, back burner, back burner. The reason I created the back burners was to try and convey to people how you can buy things that are in euphoria mode and running away. How you can be patient and have entries that have better risk and reward. Google ChartGuys back burner, watch that video. We have ChartGuys members that have been with us in crypto for 6-7 years where back burners have changed their lives, just like it changed my life. It is the #1 trading strategy for when you are in a trending euphoria market. It's what allows for comfortability and good risk reward entries. Here's MSOS breaking that 2-minute pattern bull. So, all right, this is the first step towards a potential hourly higher low. Now what do we need? Now we need a 5-minute trend change to confirm. Whenever this move tops out, wherever that is, we then have to hold the low and confirm the 5-minute uptrend for the next step towards the hourly higher low being set. With my remaining short position that I have right now, I will be exiting the next 5-minute consolidation. I will exit the rest of that short. So what does a bull do? Well, let's say you want to buy the hourly higher low. If you're not already in the next 5-minute consolidation, you're looking for an entry and your stop goes under 843. Your mindset is that's either the hourly higher low or I'm wrong, and you use that level as a stop. The key for trading is you have to limit your risk on every single trade and know exactly what you stand to lose on every single trade. So this is what my brain does. Let's say I have no position and I want an entry for the hourly higher low. All right, whenever we top out, I'm going to look for the 5-minute higher low. Let's just say, we get back into the 840s. If I enter a position at 847, I stick my stop. I want to give a little wiggle room. I'll put my stop at 839, just under the low at this point. And so let's say if I'm in at 848 and my stop goes under 839, then I'm risking essentially 9 pennies. What's the reward? Well, if we confirm a 5-minute uptrend, I'm in at 848. We eventually break to the higher high. I need to see the reward is more than the risk. If we set an hourly higher low and get a bit of a bounce going, I would look, even if we set an hourly low or high, I would look to get to the 870s, which means reward of potentially 20 plus cents. So risk of 9 cents, reward of 20 cents plus. All right, that's pretty solid risk reward. That's a trade that I could look to. That's what my brain does when I'm scouting a trade setup. Where's my stop? What's my risk? What's the potential reward? Is the reward greater than the risk? What's the most likely scenario? We already know that. The hourly higher low is the most likely scenario. Trader brain. Other ETFs, I do not chart and do technical analysis on leveraged ETFs. They have built-in time decay. You should just be charting the underlying. I would be charting MSO, and then you can trade MSOS based off of that. You can MSOX based off of what you are, charting on MSOS, but I do not chart leveraged ETFs themselves, especially MSOX. It's very thinly traded. So I would suggest charting MSOS. Position sizing. So can I talk about position sizing for the 2017-18 Canadian run versus now? This person has a small MSOS no-touch position, but they want to increase size a bit because the excitement is building. So again, even the fact that you want to increase size because excitement is building, that's a little bit of a red flag, right? We don't want to be acting and making financial decisions based on emotional triggers, and excitement is an emotional trigger. So, I would say you should be wanting to add to your position when we break 769. That is a very clear weekly uptrend confirming. That's the reason to want to add to your position. That's the chart showing you strength, regardless of sentiment and buzz and all that stuff. Again, if you are looking to add, aggressive bulls are looking for the hourly higher low. Patient bulls will be eventually looking for a daily higher low. Again, it's entirely possible. You ask me right now, again, I don't predict. I do not use technical analysis to predict. I have no idea in this moment whether we're going to set an hourly high or low and close up at the high of the day, or that this bounce is going to shape up an hourly downtrend and lead to daily consolidation. I do not have enough information in this moment to tell you which is going to happen. I do not know. So what do? We position and put stops. I don't need to know. I can limit my risk without knowing. So if you're looking to be aggressive, you're adding on that hourly high or low. If you want to be patient, you're waiting for the daily. So you have to ask yourself, aggressive or patient? Every single individual is going to have a different answer to that question based on your own financial situation, how big your current position is, all that. I do know that I will be interested in buying next hourly oversold conditions in MSOS whenever we get there. As far as going aggressive, so me, position size, really Canadian MJ is the last time I was extremely aggressive as a trader. Crypto 2017, as aggressive as I've ever been in my life. Canadian MJ 2018, the second most aggressive I've ever been in my life. And again, if I'm going to go aggressive, I need DEA approved news. I got to see it be official. I've got sizable position. If I told you the position sizes that I have, you'd say, wow, that's big to some of you. It's all relative. But in terms of, my full account, it's not a big size. But I won't go full on aggressive unless we get DEA approved rescheduling. Also make note, the more we run before a decision, the more it's going to be priced in, just like the Bitcoin ETF. If MSOS is trading at $11 and we're still waiting on the DEA, then I'm not going to go extremely aggressive on that decision. In an ideal world, if we're waiting for a big reaction on an actual DEA announcement, we don't want to break 988. We want to have that level as resistance, give bears something to be confident about, and then have the news hit, and then we just shoot up and squeeze out a bunch of bears. But again, the more we run up, the more bears are going to already be covering, the more longs are going to already have positions. So when people ask me if something's a sell the news event or not, the most important factor for me is what's the price action leading up into the news? And considering the news could be this week or in 6 months, we have no idea what the price action is going to look like leading up into an announcement. So if the announcement were to come here and now, I absolutely go aggressive on that announcement and add significant size to my long positions. But again, if we run the next 2 months and then we're still waiting on the DEA, things change. It's different. I then have new information. All right, I'm back to the YouTube chat room now and answering questions there. Is Tilray a stock to buy now? What's your stop loss? What's your risk? What's your target? Exactly what I just did. That's the way your brain has to work. We don't just buy and hope. You buy, your stop is here, you're risking this many dollars. Every single time I enter a trade, I accept the loss. I accept like I already hit my stop loss. I know what worst case scenario is. I don't bag hold. There's no such thing as bag holding in my world. I've already done that. I'm never doing it again. So if I buy MSOS and I put my stop at 839, I can calculate exactly what my dollar risk is and say, okay, worst case scenario, I lose $1,000 on this trade. All right, I accept that. It's like it's already gone. That money is already gone. And it either stops out and it's that I'm already prepared for it, or it doesn't, and bonus, I made money. That is my mindset every time I place a stop loss. I know my maximum risk. So is TLRY a buy right now? I mean, I would be focusing on the names that are clearly showing us that bulls are interested in them. It's possible these names play catch up as a laggard, absolutely, but I personally am not putting a ton of faith into that. So here's TLRY shaping up an hourly high or low on the verge of being set. So key short-term support is now 194. So again, if I want a close by stop, 184 is a must hold. If 184 breaks, definitely a big red flag. I don't like how TLRY and CGC are trading. Personally, I trade those names all the time, but I haven't touched them in weeks. Because again, MSOS is clearly showing us this is where the bulls are focused. This is where there's relative strength. So MSOS still working on the 5-minute bounce. Again, once we top out, can we confirm the 5-minute trend change? That's the next most important aspect of the current setup. But bulls are giving themselves some space to work with. So again, that bear exhaustion played out. Did I predict anything? No, I knew the most likely scenarios in hourly high or low. I recognize a falling wedge, which is a bear exhaustion pattern showing every new low is only by a penny into a bounce. So that tells me start watching for that hourly high or low. It's likely shaping up sooner rather than later. Now the next step, 5-minute trend change attempt. Once we get it, we zoom back out to the hourly. If we get it, we zoom back out to the hourly, and we then watch, are we going to shape up an hourly lower high compared to 905? AYR, so they had a lot of attention yesterday in Canada. So trying to set an hourly high or low, base of support 385. So short-term resistance 410. If we get over, I hate gaps on 5-minute time frames. To me, I'll never trade anything that has gaps on the 5-minute time frame. It's just an automatic. Again, I have rules as a trader. I need this much dollar volume. I need, I have criteria. If I'm going to trade something, I need these things have to be happening. These things can't be happening. If there's 5-minute gaps, I won't trade it. It's not liquid enough for me. But what we have now is a tightening range. So low, high, double bottom. Anything under 422 is a lower high. And bulls need to break this tightening range in their favor for the hourly high or low. But the entire sector right now is looking for hourly higher lows to try and form into the afternoon. And the stronger we close, the closer to the high of the day we close, the better. Because we know those bulls have to break the high of today tomorrow if we're going to see continuation. Otherwise, we watch for daily consolidation. 300 people. We're giving the crypto streams a run for their money. I talked about recently how the best trade I've ever made in my life was selling 2017 crypto hype and rolling it into Canadian cannabis. And here we have Bitcoin topping out on the ETF last week, right before cannabis gets a bit of a bump. And it's definitely some deja vu in terms of, some potential similar vibes of selling one hype sector and rolling it into another. Definitely know plenty of crypto traders interested in cannabis and vice versa. I've been trying to bridge the gap for people all the last 6 years. Schedule 3, again, long term, I'm not investing. I'm not investing in this sector. I've learned plenty from Canada. I was in Maine and Massachusetts last week or a couple days ago. I went in with 3 buddies to a shop in Maine, and we walked out with 3 1-gram pre-rolls for $3. I just don't think it's a, yes, there's going to be hype. There's going to be money to be made trading, absolutely. But, as far as business model, I just see, cost dropping so significantly. I'm not an investor in this space. I never will be. Trader, that's it. I just don't like it as an investment. Maybe I'll be wrong, but the Canadians sure said I was going to be wrong too when I sold 2017. HITI. It was a promo the store was doing, but why are they doing promos where they're giving away $1 1-gram joints? Because they can. And so we had a whole weekend. The four of us have been smoking for 25 years together, and we spent $500+ on food. We spent, including drinks out, $100+ on alcohol. For 3 days, 3 nights, whatever it was, we spent like $25 on weed. Daily use. It's not a huge cash cow, in my opinion. HITI must hold daily support 168. Big upper wick. Plenty of space. So if MSOS looked like this, I would say it's very likely we set an hourly lower high. Look how much space we have to form it. From here, we can bounce 5% and easily form an hourly lower high. So I would say for HITI, next time we bounce, an hourly lower high is the most likely scenario. And then the question will be, can the bears confirm the hourly downtrend or not? And a lot of that will be dependent on what MSOS does, of course. MSOS 5-minute high or low is the most likely scenario next consolidation because of the amount of follow through on this bounce. So right now, hourly uptrend is what we care about the most. When we lose it, the daily uptrend will be what we care about the most. Have your exit game plans. Have your red flag levels. Are you going to hold back to all-time lows if we don't get any? I mean, the DEA has been telling me ever since my number one biggest distrust in our government stems from sophomore year in college when I learned about cannabis and hemp and how they made it illegal in the 30s and what they did and the smear campaign. And I read all that and said, oh, I don't trust our government at all. This is absurd. And the DEA, I believe that the most likely scenario is rescheduling, but I would not be shocked if the DEA did something that many people would consider, just be prepared for just be prepared for everything. Because the DEA has been knowingly, it's all the government knows what they're doing, right? It's not like the government's like, oh, we were wrong. We got to fix this. No. It's just a question of, is there enough public pressure where we can't be this hypocritical and look this dumb? I don't know if we've reached that point yet. GRWG. So very key daily resistance, 285. Again, it's just a range, we're range bound. So we got a low of 236, a high of 285. We held support by 1 penny. We're now pulling back under resistance. Equilibriums are the most common pattern in trading. So I look for them wherever I can, and they very often show up. So this is the 4-hour time frame. Let's see if we have red tomorrow, we're going to be looking for a tightening 4-hour range on GRWG. But again, we're going to get a lot of information the next 2.5 hours into the close as to whether or not MSOS is closing, up at 880 or confirming an hour. So here's our hourly high or low already being set without the 5-minute uptrend yet. So must hold short-term support is now 843. That's our hourly high or low. Retracement size. Bulls want 50% plus bounce retracement. 874 plus would be a good sign for bulls to give them space to work with off of the low of the day. I was in an entrepreneur class in college, and I did a presentation on industrial hemp. And the professor stopped me. I'm doing a presentation. There's hundreds of people in the auditorium. He stops me after my intro and goes, well, we know why it's illegal. You get high from it. And I'm just sitting there like, oh my God. I thought people knew. Like, people still don't know. Going around smoking hemp necklaces in the 90s. All right, I'm done talking for now. My throat hurts. We're going to continue doing some play-by-play in the chat room. Have realistic expectations on your trading. Stick with the time frames that matter most to you based on your time horizons and what you're looking for. Prepare for Schedule 3 approved. Prepare for remaining on Schedule 1. If you do not, you have a plan, right? When I go to a hotel, I look at where the fire exit is. I know there's a very small chance I'm going to need it, but you prepare for worst case scenario. Do the same with this decision. You don't want to be scrambling the day that bad news hits and not have a game plan, and then you're a deer in the headlights and you lose a bunch of money. Have a game plan for every scenario. It requires no thinking in the heat of the moment. That's why you look at the fire exit plan on the back of the hotel door before there's a fire. Because if you're looking when there's a fire, your adrenaline and everything is going to lead to you to make bad decisions. If you've already done the preparation in advance when emotions are not in play, you are much more able to execute in the heat of the moment. Thanks for the likes and the shares. Again, the more analytics this stuff gets, the more content we'll keep putting out. Joey put out that video over the weekend. Definitely similar style, but a bit different, worth watching. And we'll certainly keep covering things on Twitter as well. Hope you're well, do good things, protect yourself.